kind of the format that I've got for today, guys. Obviously, I'm going to be talking all about LinkedIn and how you as fractional consultants can use it. So for those of you that don't know my background, I'm not going to spend too long talking about me because no one really cares too much, let's be really honest. And what I'm going to basically cover is kind of like how I built my consulting business. So I guess you could call it a little bit of fractional work when I first started out doing my marketing consulting, and it's now turned into an agency and a training company with a corporate package. I've just come off a call this morning with Mastercard, one of our main biggest clients that we do work with their sales teams on. So the stuff that I'm going to share with you today is very much kind of like the basics and fundamentals of kind of what to be doing on this platform to one, position yourself, and then two, to generate some business from it. Now, we're a small group here, so I think the slides should take me around about 25 minutes to half an hour to run through. And then if you've got any questions, we've got lots of time to be able to discuss stuff at the end. I do tend to go off on tangents, so it may take longer than half an hour to go through as well. We'll see where it takes us. It's brand new in terms of what I'm going to be talking to you about. It's completely up to date with what's working on the platform right now. And if anything you're unsure of or you don't quite get, there's no such thing as a stupid question with me. So whether you want to just raise your hand and unmute, or whether you want to just use the chat box to be able to communicate. I think the chat box should be open. If not, let me just double check it. Chat box, and yeah, I think it's all open, so you should be able to, which is great. So what I will do, let me just quickly just double check all of this stuff on here. If I share my screen, and we'll go to desktop 1. Bring that open there, swap the displays. Right, if I open up the chat box so I can see here as well. Perfect stuff. So can everyone just to begin with, can everyone see the slide deck all right? Everyone see it? Perfect stuff, great. So for those of you that, again, have no idea who I am or what I do, my focus is on using social media platforms. LinkedIn is one of the main ones at the moment that we use, but primarily to generate leads for ourselves. So a lead can be classified as a startup or multinational corporate, depending on where you want to go and what you want to do. The concepts of how we use social media, very much exactly the same. And I've used this on LinkedIn, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of them. And what I'm going to be talking about today is what's working on LinkedIn as a platform right at this current point in time. In terms of this session, there's a few things that you will need to be able to make the most out of it. First off is your phone. If you've got it to hand, looks like everyone's tuned in on a computer, so your phone will be handy. LinkedIn, the app, just so you can have a bit of a scroll and you can kind of look at some of the things I'm going to be talking to you about if it becomes relevant to you. And if you've got a notepad pen, then feel free to take notes. This is obviously recorded, so you can come back to it. If I speak too quickly or cover something which doesn't make 100% sense, again, just use the chat box. We've got time to be able to go over things in detail today, as you wish. So I did say at the beginning, I don't spend much time talking about me whatsoever. What I'm going to be talking to you about, and I guess the context behind all of it, is the information that I'm going to give is real life experience. I only talk about the stuff that I've done. It's no random theory. Everything has had hours and hours of testing put into it. And the results, if you look anywhere online about who we are and what we do, at the Social Selling Suite or Pipeline 44. We're a small team of 6 that work in the business, but everything that we do, we document online. So all of our social proof, our evidence, our testimonials, there's hundreds of them out there now. If you scan that QR code, it will take you to my LinkedIn profile, where I give out lots of free content, lots of advice. I do a lot of free consulting for people now, just to give a little bit back and fill my diary up, because sometimes I get a bit bored. So if you ever got any questions or anything like that, feel free to drop me a message. I'll be more than happy to communicate with you on it. So I think the really important point, out of interest, who's currently using LinkedIn at the moment? Who's got a profile and is actively trying to generate some business on it? So the majority, great. What I've noticed, I speak to probably on average 30 people a week, where it's a startup consultant or it's a corporate. And there are some common reasons why people struggle. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring these up, and you don't have to tell me whatsoever, but just have a think about what might have been the things that might stop you from succeeding. Number one is a lack of time. Like these platforms, it seems to be that if you want to get results, if you listen to people online, you've got to spend hours doing it. I'm going to show you today how you don't have to spend hours doing it. I spend about 20 minutes a day. I've got plenty of other things to be getting on with rather than trying to leave comments on people's posts and send messages that people aren't going to respond to, right? So time is a big reason. This is a big one, especially in the consulting space. If you've been in a career for a long time and now you're venturing out on your own, you've always been the person that people go to for information, for specialist stuff. But when it comes to then selling yourselves, it's a bit, it's not something that people are used to, especially when it comes to selling to strangers. So that's a reason what holds people back. Imposter syndrome when it comes to creating content, that links to confidence. Not having ideas, you need to be posting online. I think we all probably know that when it comes to LinkedIn. If you want to succeed, you're going to have to post some content. Sometimes it's just coming up with the ideas. If any of you had that one, you've been trying it, but not really seen any results just yet. So you get a bit bored of using the platform. Some of you might be at the beginning, not knowing where to start. Some of you might be doing certain things and getting no responses. But I think the biggest one, which is what I'm going to try and give you today to be able to take something practical away from this session, is a plan. Like something that you can practically do every single day that's going to lead you in the right direction to getting a result. And at the end of the session, there's a few different resources that I'll give you to be able to just take it a little bit further, give you a little bit of added context for everything that I'm talking about. But fundamentally, the thing that makes the biggest difference is understanding why social media works in the first place. Before I use these platforms, I had a property business. For those of you that have no idea who I am, I accidentally founded this company with Sam Raffling and Nicholas Jones. I had a property business and I documented the good, the bad, and the ugly of building an Airbnb company. Now, for those of you that know Airbnb, when it comes to building a company of the size that we did, we were running 80 odd apartments across the country. You get all sorts of incidents that happen, parties, prostitutes, you name it, we've seen it, furniture being stolen. And I basically documented that whole journey online and built a bit of a following for myself. I had no idea why people followed me. I guess it was mere either entertainment or laughing at my misery. I have no idea which one it was, but there's probably a combination of all three. But this formula here that I'm going to talk to you about now, I say formula, it's 3 words on a screen. However, we will call it a formula today, is the basis of why I believe social media works. And it's really obvious. The more people that know who you are and what you do, the more opportunity is going to come your way, right? So for me, I was traveling the country, attending network event after networking event, speaking to strangers that, let's be honest, the only reason they were there was to sell me their stuff. And the only reason I was there was to sell my stuff. So you end up in this vicious circle of traveling the country, yes, meeting some connections, getting the odd word of mouth referral, but I was sitting there like, I'm wasting all of this fuel. There's got to be a better way of doing it. At that point, I was handing out business cards and doing all that sort of stuff. So I made a subtle change. I was like, well, rather than just solely going to these events and giving my business card out, hoping that someone would call me, I connect with them on social media and drive them to one of the platforms. LinkedIn was the one that I chose because Instagram, although was where I had the biggest following, had a bit of a slow death throughout just before COVID. So I switched to LinkedIn, which was obviously the B2B platform, which gives us such a large opportunity. And what I realized was that where I was handing a business card out and then not really hearing anything, because I was active on LinkedIn, posting content, showcasing what it was that I was doing, tagging these people in, re-engaging with a message afterwards, I found that people would then, because of the consistent frequency of them seeing me, would maybe in 30, 60, 90 days time, when the timing was right, then reach out and go, I met you at an event, didn't I? Yes, we did. And a conversation would start. And that was where I started to take social media, especially from a B2B point of view, a lot more seriously. And the concepts that I'm going to share today basically fundamentally evolve around that formula there. And everybody, whether you know this or not, this is obviously an introduction to it, right? Your performance on social media is being tracked. So you can actually get a real clear understanding of where you're at right now. This is on LinkedIn only. It's called the Social Selling Index. Has anyone heard of the Social Selling Index before? A couple of people? Good. Well, you can go out and you obviously track your performance on these platforms. It does it for you. And the link is there at the bottom. So as long as you're logged into LinkedIn on your computer, so log into it on your computer rather than your phone, and then type in linkedin.com/sales/SSI, that will give you your score. Now, does a high score mean you're going to generate some business? No. However, it does mean and give you a bit of an idea that you're actually using the platform properly and how they want to use it. And to break down, you'll see there in the middle, the 87 out of 100. That's no longer my score. My score has dipped recently because I've not been as active as I probably should be. But that was taken around about 6 months ago, that screenshot. It's the highest I've ever got it. And I have never been able to break through the 90 mark. I've never seen anyone get through the 90 mark yet. So whether LinkedIn do that to encourage more spend, I don't know. We'll see in the future. However, the 75 mark is where you seem to get the best results in terms of response rates, in terms of it will push your content further and you will see all of your stats on your LinkedIn account grow. So it's just something, it's just a metric to look at. If you want to know kind of like the breakdown of the scoring, you'll see there you've got establishing your professional brand, finding the right people, engaging with insights of building relationships. You can go out there, if you just Google SSI, it will give you the breakdown. But to give you a brief overview, the top one is all about your profile. So there's 20 different elements to your profile, which I'm going to cover profiles in a second. But there's 20 different elements to an effective LinkedIn profile. If you complete all of the elements, it will give you all-star status. If you have all-star status, you'll get the 24.5 score. I've never been able to get to 25, ever. So I don't know, again, I don't know whether it's something which I just don't know about or what. However, the 24.5 seems to be, from what I have when I have conversations with people, is the highest that we can get. Finding the right people is all about using the search functionality in LinkedIn to be able to find prospects and your ideal clients. And so if you are using search functionality inside of LinkedIn, then you will get to a score of around about 18. If you want to get higher than 18, you need to buy sales now. So if you get to 18, you're like, I can't really get it any higher. It's typically because you're not paying for LinkedIn. And some people would like to pay for it. I don't believe you need to be able to succeed on this platform. And I'll explain that to you a little bit later on as to why. But to build that part of it up, you've got to use the search functionality. Engaging with insights is all around content creation. Building relationships is all around starting conversations with what LinkedIn define as decision makers. So if your ideal clients are CEOs, COOs, C-suite board level, and you're connecting with those people, you will see automatically it goes to 25 if you are maxing out your connection requests every single week. It's a very, very simple one to push forward. So that's your SSI score. It's not the be all and end all. However, it is a good thing just to check in at. I normally look at it once every couple of months just to see where I'm at, to make sure that it's not gone completely off the cliff. If it reduces, it typically means obviously you've not been as active as you once were, and that's where I go. Gordon, fire away with a question.
Yeah, is there actually a benefit in itself of having a high SSI score? Is this just a metric for how active and how effective you are on LinkedIn?
So again, it's not proven, right? In terms of this is theory that lots of experts have given over time. But what people say is that if you get over a score of 75, it gives you algorithm benefits. So your content will reach more people. Your connection requests in the way that you send them will appear higher up in when you're looking at someone's profile. Now, whether that's proven or not, I can't say. It's a guess, I guess. LinkedIn have never actually come out and said anything about it. The reality, it's a metric just to look at, just to make sure that you're ticking boxes in the right places. For me, the one that I focus in on the most is probably the third one, the engaging with insights. That tends to reflect my content performance. So the higher that goes, typically the more inbound leads I then see later on down the line. So that's the one I tend to focus in on above anything else, if that answers your question. Okay, perfect. So I said to you about having an effective LinkedIn profile. People spend hours, and I must get 15 to 20 questions a week around what headline people should use. and all this sorts of thing. My biggest thing with LinkedIn profiles is obviously making sure that it speaks to your ideal clients. If they look at it, they actually understand who you are and what you do. I've seen some of the most complex headlines that not even Albert Einstein could probably work out what someone does from their headlines. So for me, simplicity is absolutely everything. This second point is the one I think that's really important. What lots of consultants default to is the I help statement. So I help people do this. I help people achieve this. The problem that I get, and this is only my opinion and my experience of using this platform, it gives off this bit of sense of desperation of I'm actively searching for business here and I need it. And what I found with social, it's a really weird thing. The more that you go out there showcasing how much you want business, the harder it is to get. And so by positioning yourself as someone that's actually already credible, already got the business, already got the opportunity coming through, it's amazing then how business naturally comes to you. It's like a reverse psychology effect that I'll touch up on a bit later on. But where I look at it as, rather than using that I help statement and saying I help people achieve X or do Y, just state your job title, who you are, and what it is that you do. So look, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is what I'm interested in. If you look at my headline, it's nothing fancy. It just does what it says on the tin, right? My job title at my company, founder of X product. Like my biggest things are clarity, generating business, making money online. My job is to simplify social, and my profile is about documenting my journey to selling the company. So I create myself a little bit of a storyline with that. Very, very simple, but making sure that you're building up your profile with credibility, I think, is vitally important. So to cover off the basics, profile photo, simple headshot, make sure it's up to date if you've got it. Your cover photo, which sits up here, people spend hours trying to design this. Keep it really simple. Like just make sure that it explains what you do with a direction. Typically, I like to put a website or a landing page on there, just to let people know that it's there. The biggest thing looking at all of this as we move through is that if you complete all 20 parts to your profile and you include keywords, so actually in the chat, just out of interest, could you put, obviously you all do something slightly different, right? Can you just put in the chat what type of consulting that you specialize in? What is your specialist area? Just for my interest, more than anything, as we go through those words, whatever it is. So product and delivery management. I'm going to give you some hacks here that make a big difference to your ability to showcase in search results. Not something that I hear many people talk about online, but it's what's enabled someone like Sam, my business partner. If you go and type in LinkedIn expert on Google, her profile is one of the ones that come up. She's done that because her this is going to sound so ridiculous. Like the image title. So when you save an image to your desktop and you've got to name it something, in Sam's like file name, it's called LinkedIn expert Sam Raffling. The same with the profile image, LinkedIn expert Sam Raffling. It's like that's the file name that gets uploaded. In the headline, LinkedIn experts mentioned. In her about section, it's mentioned around 10 to 15 times if you look at it. In her experience section, the same thing. The word LinkedIn expert appear in there 10 to 15 times. Now, obviously, it's not just copy and pasted. It's in a paragraph that makes sense, that explains what it is that they do. But because of the sheer amount of the keywords that are in there, LinkedIn obviously has a very, very powerful SEO ability when it comes to appearing in page 1 and page 2 of Google. You get enough of your keywords in there and you get enough traffic to your profile, you will start to rank in Google for your key terms. And that's something which I'm still working on today. Still not there for my name. If you've got a name as common as Chris Taylor, you're going to struggle to appear anywhere when it comes to this stuff. However, if you've got more of a unique name and you get this right, it's something to do just in case you're one of the lucky ones that do get the ability to rank. If you're a John Smith, probably something just to probably not bother with when it comes to it, because you might struggle. But obviously, there's lots of you on here, people that are watching the replay, that may find the benefits from doing that. When it comes to your about section, and also you'll see here, there's this visit my website. I don't know if you can see my mouse at all, but there's this visit my website button that sits here. If you click onto this little pen icon on your profile, you have the ability to add a website and have a call to action that sits on your profile, something that I really encourage you do. And what that then does is, you'll notice this now on LinkedIn a lot, when you then post content, when you appear on the newsfeed, that visit my website actually appears next to your or underneath your name now. So every post that you do has the ability to drive a link click. Now that link click is your ability to be able to capture traffic. So again, I would just have your website or a link to something. Maybe it's a blog that you've done. Maybe it might be a YouTube channel, anything that you've got that you can direct that just explains a little bit more detail into what it is that you do. I'd have that link on your profile so you can actually drive and collect traffic. My biggest thing really is using LinkedIn as a traffic collector. So to gain followers, to gain connections, but to move them to a place where I have control. So the reason why we have a consistent pipeline on LinkedIn month in, month out is purely because we collect and utilize data from the platform. So we collect email addresses. Email addresses are our currency when it comes to utilizing social media. And what I'm looking to do with this platform is use it, get the attention, give away a resource which captures an email address, which allows me to then promote what it is that I do as and when I want to do it. So I work with 3 businesses a year to give you the context. On a, let's say, a MasterCard level, so a corporate business like MasterCard, we work with 3 of them a year. And what we have is a segmented list of email addresses from decision makers of companies along the size of MasterCard. So thousands of employees, £1 billion plus turnover. And what I basically do is every year we'll send a couple of emails out just promoting the fact that we've got some consulting slots available if they wanted to book a call and have a conversation. If I was to put that post out on LinkedIn, the likelihood is that they're probably not active enough to see it. And also they probably don't care at the point that it hits them on their newsfeed, because that's not what they're using LinkedIn for. Whereas if I send an email directly to them, I've got their attention. I know that they're interested in our services, otherwise they wouldn't be on the list. And therefore I have the ability to develop a relationship at a much closer level. So I use LinkedIn to basically capture the email addresses of the contacts that I want to then market to, if that makes sense. That's the main focus point. If you've not got creator mode turned on, this is just the reminder to do it. Creator mode gives you additional functionality and sources to be able to make the most out of LinkedIn, but it also gives you in-depth analytics on your profile that I do track every single month just to make sure that it's going in the right direction. So impressions, number of followers, looking at the number of profile views that I've got, and I track that number and try and keep it above. For me, it's 2,500 profile views. It's 25,000 impressions on my content in a 7-day period. It is around 700 to 800 new followers a month. That's the activity that we get on my account, but everyone's is slightly different. You just got to find your base point, your starting point, and then just begin to track, and you will then gain momentum as you focus in on those numbers. So creator mode is just a good tool to turn on. Now, to give you the fundamentals of the activity on LinkedIn, there are 3 that you need to be doing to start building momentum on this platform. The first one is audience building. So you will all know, I hope, around network building and your ability to build a following on this platform. If not, this is how we build audiences at speed. So anyone that we work with, whether it's in our academy, whether it's in the consulting calls that we do, whether it's in our agency services, whatever, everyone starts at this point. And it's so basic, it's so simple. But even I, on the right-hand side here, have got people that I know that I'm not connected with. So what most people default to is thinking that the only people they should be connecting with on LinkedIn is ideal clients. And for me, that is the shortcut to never receiving any engagement on your content whatsoever. Now, let me tell you the reason why. The way that this platform works is the more people that react, the more people that comment, the more people that share your content, the faster your audience will grow. Now, you are more likely to get a reaction from someone that knows who you are than you are from a stranger that could literally be anyone. And so what I always encourage everybody to do at the beginning, you get around about 100 connection requests a week that you can send before it says stop sending them now, you're not allowed to. But simply just connect with everyone and anyone that you know, purely because any form of reaction, any form of engagement, and I'm going to explain to you how this algorithm works in a little bit later on, but every reaction means more exposure. So if you go to your My Network on your computer or your phone, it will suggest people that you may know. Double check to make sure that they're active. So click into their profile and just make sure that they have either reacted to something, commented on something, or posted something in the last 30 days. Make sure they're active and then connect with them. By doing that, you're going to have a much more higher likelihood of being accepted, and a higher acceptance rate on LinkedIn means a better performing profile. So the more requests you get send and then get accepted, the better your profile is going to perform. It also means higher levels of engagement. Once you've got the people that you know out of the way, that's where I would then just start begin building in your network with like potential customers. That's where I would focus in at that point. I'd start with searching for job titles. I'd again make sure that they're active. So click into their profile, check to make sure that they've done something in the last 30 days. Otherwise, it's just a waste of a connection request. They're not as active on the platform to be able to do business with you. So probably just move them down the list, focus on someone that is active to begin with. And what I do is if you know that there are certain profiles that have got lots of engagement and you look in their comment sections and you can see that your ideal clients are engaging, connect from the comment section. So just right click, open their profile, connect. Right click, open their profile, connect. If they're commenting, they are the prime sort of person you want in your network because one, they may comment on your stuff, which will push your content further, but also because they're active, they're most likely wanting their connection number to be higher and therefore will accept you and grow your audience in a faster way as well. For me, there's one rule with this. Hit that connect button until it says don't do it anymore. It takes around about 30 minutes a week to max out your connection requests. Just send them purely because you don't have the ability to do this on any other social media platform. The bigger your network, as much as some people will say followers aren't important, and you've probably heard this before, it's about the quality of the follower rather than the quantity. The reality of the situation, the way that I've used it is the higher my follower number is, the easier this has all become. And if you see someone with 50,000 followers and you see someone with 500, you're going to think the one that has 50,000 is better than the one that has 500. As much as I hate to admit it, that's just the way that these platforms work. So you can build your audience up to 300 to 400 people a month just by pushing the buttons. You've just got to put the time in to press connect. 10 minutes a day and you'll do that. It's very, very straightforward. Just to give you the concept of how this algorithm works, what you've got is you in the center. So this white circle here, if you imagine that is your profile, you will see on LinkedIn, there is either a first degree or a second degree. So you'll see that next to people's profile names in the newsfeed. First degree is the people that you're connecting with. Second degree is the people that you aren't connected with, but are connected to your connections. The way that it works is that if you have somebody in your first degree react, comment, do anything in regards to your content, that will then share it with their followers and their connections in the same way. So you may see this, you may see content in the LinkedIn newsfeed that you don't know who the person is, but because someone in your network has engaged with it, it's shown you it because you may be potentially interested. The reason this is important is the more people that are in your first degree network, the faster you will grow, the more exposure you will get. The deals that we've got with some high-level corporates have actually come from the majority of time from second degree network. A little rule of thumb, I only connect with people that are in my second degree. So if they're third degree connections, I don't connect with them because there's that many second degree. You've got a higher likelihood of being accepted by a second degree connection. It's just the way that the numbers play out. Okay. Does that all make sense before I move on? Is any questions around audience build? It's pretty straightforward, right? Hit the connect button, get it moving forward, get it moving. All make sense? Good stuff. Yeah. Great. With content.
Chris, sorry, mate.
Yes.
Mike here. off camera.
I might.
Ask for a sandwich. With the hit connect, do you add a personal message in that, or is it just hit the connect? Sorry, you might have mentioned it, but I missed it.
No. It's fine. I haven't mentioned it. It's a very good question. So I've tested with and without. I found that I actually had a higher likelihood of acceptance without the message. So I no longer send a personalized message now. I don't really understand exactly why that's the case. You'd think it'd be the other way around. It just isn't. Like, the numbers and the facts, I've been doing it for over a couple of years of testing that now. Every single time without the message, it performs better. Just to answer your question. Great question, though. The second part to it is content. Now, this is the big bugbear. This is the annoying one, because everyone's like, I don't really want to be posting. I just want to generate some business from it. Again, if you want to start doing work with strangers or even people that you know, you've got to stay top of mind. Content is your ability to stay top of mind. Recommend a minimum of 3 posts per week. You don't need to post every day. There are some influencers out there that will tell you need to be posting 100 times a week. I mean, yeah, if you've got a team of people that are creating content for you, good luck, have fun. However, the reality is 3 posts a week is what I aim for. I typically post something every single day, and you'll see why I can do that in a second with the sort of content that we put out. But I include a mixture of different content themes. I'm going to share with you 3 in a second that I default to every time, pretty much. I don't go technical. So my content is very much opinion-based content. So I will see something in the news, see something that's happening in the industry. I will talk about conversations I've had with customers. Like, I don't go technical nitty-gritty information. Like, I've seen people post lines of code on the internet, on LinkedIn. I'm sitting there, I'm like, you may actually go out there and put it on your blog and Google, because people might be searching for that content, but not on a social media platform like LinkedIn. It doesn't belong there. And whenever you're online, it's just a little thing that you can do. If you ever scroll down a news feed and something stops you in your scroll, that is a big thing to start actually recognizing. For every 15 pieces of content that you scroll past, typically you will stop on 2 or 3 of them, maybe less. So what I do is, whenever I'm scrolling and something grabs my attention, I'll just take a mental note and go, right, what was it about that post that actually made me stop? It could be the image, it could be the headline, it could just be the person. If it's the person, not particularly interested. If it's the visual or the headline, I press the 3 dots and I save it, and I'll utilize that as a bit of inspiration for my content moving forward as well. I also, anything that's high performing, so anything that I see that's got like 500 reactions or more, a couple of 100 comments, again, 3 dots and save it, if I believe that I can create something that's similar. Most people think they have to create works of art when it comes to LinkedIn. Actually, a lot of the stuff that I create, I take inspiration from other people and create it in my own way. So save content, high performing content, when you see it, will make your content creation process a lot quicker. And then from there, again, like I say, you can come back to it and have a look. Now, the 3 content themes that I'm going to cover, and I've got a couple of examples to show you with this in a second. The 3 content themes are documentary, lessons, and social proof. That is pretty much, if you scroll through my profile, all you will see. Just keep reciprocating these 3 content themes. For documentary, this is one example. So documentary is relating to stuff that's going on in my life. This is probably my best performing post this year. Again, I don't reach millions of people. Every post that I do, I'll probably reach 1 million people a year. My current stats, I think, are 1.1 million over the year. It's nothing groundbreaking. But you can see here, there's certain things in this piece of content that have made it do very well. One is the topic. I'm documenting on Mental Health Day, right? So that's a massive day in social media world. So I've done it on that day. That's why it's performed well. 2 is the depressing image. People, if you're going to look at posting imagery and visuals, if you can convey emotion in that image, it's going to perform so much better. So if you're posting something about being excited, sounds really basic, but you'll be amazed about the people that don't. Have a photo of you appearing excited. If you're posting something depressing, have a photo of you appearing depressed. Or, like, again, with this photo here, it's taken at the worst time possible. Completely ill. But you can see there then the headline is actually what drove the performance of this piece. My big thing with content creation, if you're going to write anything down, is my content is not here to sell anything. It's not here to pitch anything. My content here is to start conversations around topics that I'm interested in. That's all it is. So if I ever read a piece of content, what I want to start thinking about is, right, is it easy to have a comment on this? Is it easy for someone to either agree or disagree or to add something without really thinking too hard? If you can't think about what someone would comment and it comes to you instantly, with this one here, my aim with the people's comments was, oh, Chris, I completely support this. It's 100% right. Or the odd Karen out there might actually come back and go, this is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe you're saying this. This doesn't belong on LinkedIn. That was what I was going for with this sort of post. And it performed really, really well because of it. So documentary, stuff that's going on in the world, stuff that's going on in my life. I'll take photos as I go. This is one example. I'll take a photo of delivering this. At the end of today, I would document the fact that I've done this and what I've taken away from it, right? Something really, really simple. The second are lessons. Now, this is my favorite piece of content, the post, because it's just so easy to do. This is one that I did. You can see 23 pieces of advice I've been given that has changed everything for me. You'll see this sort of content everywhere on LinkedIn. I post it because it works. Do I cringe a little bit about it? Yeah, a little bit. However, it performs well and it gets me what I need, which is the impressions. The impressions drive more followers drive more conversations being started. More conversations being started means more business. So you can see the layout of it there. These are all on my profile. You'll be able to see them. But you can see at the bottom the way that I've done it, and it got exposure also. Each one of those pieces of advice came from one of those people tagged in the comment section there. So I've tagged them in and given them credit. They then engage, they then drive it forward. I only tag people in when it's relevant to them. So it's, again, really important point. If they're relevant, then I'll tag them. Third is social proof. So again, here, social proof is encapsulating that I'm doing what I say that I do. So 9 hours of Zoom, doing everything possible to help small businesses who need support. I just screenshotted my calendar, showcasing the level of activity. And again, it didn't get huge levels of engagement, but what it did was seed the fact that I'm helping people, which is, again, credibility building. When you get this right, the results are literally ridiculous. So this is a lady called Philippa. She's a recruitment consultant. You can see here that one post that she did reached nearly 500,000 people just following just the generic hooks advice, getting the right visuals. She spoke around about ADHD this day in this piece of content. Just from on that one post, 7,000 to 7,600 followers generated. That was in 5 days. 32 messages of people wanting to work with her. Invited to be a guest on a podcast. 50 messages thanking her for being in voice. 5 bespoke package proposals going out in a week from one piece of content. If that's not a bit of a kick to start posting, then I'm not really too sure what is. But Richard, fire away with your question.
Sorry, just finding the unmute button. I absolutely get the message about not selling, right? I absolutely get that. But I'm a marketeer and I find it really difficult to always post something without a call to action of some kind.
Yes.
I'm just looking again at a couple of your posts there. There's no call to action at all, right?
No, there's not. People behave really weirdly on the internet at the moment, and I don't know why. The more you ask people to do something, the less likely they are to do it. And so, like, the way that, and again, I've tested it, and the numbers, like, just back it up. So I've removed all my call to actions. They're there on my profile. So, like, my free workshops are on the profile. My lead magnets are on my profile. The way that you can work with me is on my profile. But I let people find their own way there, apart from one specific aspect, which is the third thing I'm going to talk to you about in a second. That's where I do my direct, lead gen activity. But in my content, it's creating the perception that I don't need anything from anyone. And that drives more desire to want to work with us. And that's gone with every industry that I've worked in. So from working with, again, startups to corporate, the harder to get game that you play, the more that you appear that it's difficult to work with you and that you're busy and you've got limited amount of opportunity, the more opportunity will come your way and you'll be fighting it off. It's just doing it for long enough. But this was very similar with Philippa in the way that she did it. She used to try, at the end of every post, it was, by the way, drop me a message if you need any support with finding your next candidate. Oh, and by the way, if you've got any questions around our services, let me know. by the way, what are your thoughts on this? And she used to get zero engagement because people were just in fear of, if they left a comment, they were just going to get poached on and like pounced on and sold something to. And the moment you do that, it's only push everyone away. And so what I do is, with all of my work, I look to push people away, knowing that the harder I push people away, the more they're going to push back. And it's a really odd concept. Goes completely backwards against any other marketer's information that I've found online. But again, actually, if you look deep enough, the reverse psychology element is very powerful and it's very well known. And something here is just one of the things that I give. It's on my profile if you want to go look at it anyway. But that QR code, it's got 100 content ideas in it. Most people struggle with content creation. I used to get asked about it all the time. If you want that, it's free. You don't pay for it. It's like it's just there. I think you need to put an email address in to be able to download it, but it's on my profile. Go and download it if it's there for you, if you want it. If you want to drop me a message, because I've gone too quickly to get that, just drop me a message. But the third key thing is your outreach, right? So when you get this process right, when it comes to messaging, like this is where everything kind of clicks into gear for you more than anything. And so this is just one example. I used to send, so I can't remember who, Mike, it was you who asked a question around the personalized messaging. This was back when I used to do it. This was February of last year. I was like, I'm on a mission to do this and do that. Obviously, that message got completely ignored. I then follow up with my push away message, right? So great to connect with you. Just thought I'd send a message to say hello. Totally no pressure to respond, as I know you're most likely relaxing this weekend. I find most people on here tend to connect and then nothing happens. Here's something that I've created that will help you. If you find it valuable, there you go. If you don't, have a nice day. So I don't want anything from them. Here is something that if you're interested in what I do, you'll find it valuable. That's how I approach it. I didn't get any response from that. I don't know if she watched the video because I wasn't smart enough to do link tracking then. You can do that now. You can obviously track whether someone's opened your link or not. But with that, I then get that message around about 30 days later. I have no idea if she's watched anything. She didn't respond to my message. She just sent me a random one out of the blue saying, can you tell me a little bit more about the product that you sell? Obviously, my content has been seen by her. She'd engaged in a few different bits and pieces that I'd seen. However, there was no sign of her ever buying anything. However, because my content was very much push away, she then came to us. Could we jump on a call straight away? So you can see here on Tuesday at 11:41, Tuesday at 2:21, just saw your message, give me your email and phone number, we'll jump onto a Zoom. What I then had was, and this is the power of everything that we do, is a conversion piece of content. So I have something that I've created. Now that could be a free audit, it could be a webinar, it could be just anything that you can send people to, where if they watch it, what you're basically explaining to them is why what they're currently doing that you help them with, why what they're currently doing is wrong, and here's how you can help them. That's the piece of content that you create. It can be 5 minutes long, it could be an hour long. I recommend it being a video. But what you then do is, if something like this happens, like you can see here, I basically have a training video that I sent her. And then you can see from 2:22 p.m. to 5:35 p.m., a transaction took place. At that point, at the time that she's like been given the workshop link, I leave her alone. It's up to her then if she wants to buy. I'm like, look, there's 15 spots available. You can see here. Or if it's a consulting gig, there's one spot available for the month of November. You can see that there. Once it's gone, that page will disappear. But straight away, because we had the right offer with the right scarcity, with the right ability to make a decision, and a conversion piece of content that did the selling for me, loved the webinar, signed up, done. Now, that's because of the process that we had in place, right? Now, this is the bit that sometimes, Richard, you're a marketer, you'll get this. There's some IT people in here that love processes as well. Process is the reason this works, nothing else. My content sits in this connection phase here, as you can see. We have a LinkedIn profile. We've obviously, a lot of the consulting that we do is on product offers and messaging. So we have to do that beforehand. But let's say you've got all that stuff in place, then you can look at, right, LinkedIn profile, network building, messaging. You can look at video content. You can look at all these different things that you can do, but everything drives to the fact that I want to collect an email address. The email address then promotes whatever conversion piece of content I'm running. Again, you can do audits, strategy calls, you can do anything like that you want, but it has to be something that instigates a shift in mindset and creates desire to work with you. Without that piece, you are left hoping that business will come to you on LinkedIn. Because of that control and conversion place, like because of that phase in our process, we're guaranteed to generate business if we do enough of the front end work in the connection phase, right? This is just the mathematics of how our marketing works. If I can build my LinkedIn account by 800 people, typically it means that 200 of them, so it's around about a 20% conversion, will engage in a free resource of ours. So that free resource could be a webinar, could be downloading one of our books, whatever, like whatever it is that we're putting out there. Now, if I want to generate one client, what I've got to make sure that I do is book in, especially in this consulting world, 5 really highly qualified conversations. That's for one job. That job can range from 10 grand to 100, depending on what the opportunity is. But I need the conversion piece of content in place to be able to get it to work. And that webinar that I've got is the thing that works wonders for us. Now, it doesn't matter if MasterCard are watching it or a startup's watching it, it's relevant. It's about making sure that the content that you create actually does the job that you need it to, and that comes back to your messaging. I don't mean to chuck too much information, but I can't emphasize the importance of this process enough. Without it, you're just hoping that LinkedIn will work. And therefore, when you've got that in place, again, you've got the recording to go and see the exact step-by-step of that process. It's there for you to look at. That's where you can send messages to drive leads into the pipeline. So again, this is the message that I send today. So it's hard. This is all automated now. So some people don't like automation on LinkedIn. When you've got the right message with the right conversion piece of content, you can actually use a bit of software to automate it. Now, again, LinkedIn doesn't actually like you doing it. And I've not tested it long enough to formally recommend automation. I will test something for 3 months before I recommend it to any one of our customers. However, I'm using it at the moment to connect and then send a first message. You can see my first message. Typically, I get around about a 40% acceptance rate and a 15% response rate. That is just from a bit of software that does it for me now. And it's a bit of software called Meet Alfred, if anyone's interested on it. It does cost a bit of money. It's a bit awkward to set up at the beginning. We facilitate the setup of it for some people. But really what we're doing is driving that message out to around about 200 people a week, which means they either watch a YouTube video of mine or download that content ideas guide. Hopefully they download the guide because then I can email market to them. That's all I'm looking to do, nothing else. If you want the guide, download it. There you go. If you want to watch the video, go and watch it. I don't really want a conversation with you unless you've gone through that process, because that's where the qualification takes place. That's really what I've got to share with you. I mean, we've got 10. I told you I took a bit longer than half an hour that I expected to. There is shed loads of content on my YouTube channel about this. So if you go and type in Chris Taylor online on YouTube, you'll see endless videos that will give you more in-depth tutorials than what I can give you in an hour. Obviously, if you've got any questions or you've got any things you want to dive a bit deeper into in the 10 minutes that we've got, I'm more than happy to. But did that kind of give you a little bit of a flavor in terms of the certain things that we're doing? Good stuff. I'll stop sharing there. Does anyone have any questions or things that they'd like to go into in a bit more detail? Obviously, if you don't, totally fine. Also,
I've got a comment more than anything else right now, and it's kind of just picking up on something that you were talking about right at the end there, in terms of hoping, putting stuff on LinkedIn and just hoping that from that you'll get business. And part of the challenge to that is I have had business from doing that, but that's not a way to guarantee business in the future, right?
Agreed. Yeah, exactly. And that's really nice when it happens. Like, it's beautiful when it's like a Caroline that messaged me. It's like brilliant when it messages and we get an opportunity through. But it's like, especially when, and again, when you're in the fractional world, right, and you're looking for a couple of customers here or there to do some work with you, what you really want is to be able to pick and choose who you want to work with and when. So sometimes you can look at it with this volume approach. You go, well, I only want 2 customers, so why would I do all of that? It's like, well, actually, the volume approach works for higher ticket and lower volume in the same way that it does for lower ticket and higher volume. And so, yeah, the process just means that you get a better quality of customer and a better qualified customer. That's what I find. And the more you can treat your fractional business in this way, the easier it is for you to acquire customers and concentrate on delivering the stuff that you love, rather than playing around on LinkedIn that, let's be honest, no one really likes doing. They're doing it because they have to.
for sure.
Any other questions at all?
Yeah, Chris, Mike here again. Any headline thoughts around LinkedIn Live and how that can feed a system like this?
So LinkedIn Live is what I don't like live content purely because I'm giving something that would appear of value. So on a live, I'm going to go on there and give value, but I'm not going to have the ability to collect an email address. I would much rather run a webinar that sits on a Google Meet or a Zoom and collect an email address and be able to mark it in the future and track who's come, rather than just doing a random live. My biggest bugbear is people running lives and no one's there watching, and they've been told to run lives because eventually people will show up. For me, if you've got an audience of 30 people that are rocking up to listen to you, brilliant, and they're working, crack on. But if you're running it and you're getting like 2 or 3 people and one of them's the postman and the other one's Michelle down the road, then it's probably not something to look at doing. I prefer to do a much more systemized way of delivering video.
Gotcha. Thanks, mate.
No problem. Any other final thoughts or questions on it? Was it helpful? Did it give you, again, was it something where it gives you something practical to take away? And that was my main aim, was that have a bit of an idea of what you need to be doing. As long as I've ticked that box, I'm happy.
Yeah, definitely for me.
Yeah, Chris, Mark here. Thanks for that. Much appreciated for your time on that and your insight. Of course, I've been tweaking my LinkedIn profile literally live as you've been speaking, and I fell into a few of those pitfalls that you've been mentioning there. So I've been changing that. I didn't even know this SSI thing existed.
Lots of people don't.
Yeah, I just didn't know that at all. So that's been a huge nugget of information, which I'm going to have a play with this afternoon. I hadn't really looked at the creator mode either. I've got that switched off. I've literally just turned it on. I thought, my God, there's a whole new load of stuff in there that I can have a look at this afternoon. So yeah, really insightful. Thank you.
Perfect stuff. Great stuff.
We should, people on the call should probably all connect on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, probably a good idea. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You want to put your if you put your links in the chat, you can obviously just click on them and save them. It's probably a good way of doing it. Most of the time.
Perfect.
As long as everyone knows how to get their URL. If you go to your profile and then at the top, that will be your profile URL at the top there. And to be able to get it, Richard's done his there. So I did put my QR code in, so hopefully it's there. But
just as an idiot's question coming up here, I've noticed, for example, on Richard, his LinkedIn profile's actually got his proper name. I've got some weird random set of characters and numbers. I think you can change it to like a friendly URL. Is that straightforward to do, or is it quite?
Yeah, it's quite straightforward. It's in your settings. Now, in terms of where they move things all the time. However, what I would do is, if you drop me a message on LinkedIn, anyone that wants to know, I'll send you a clip to a video that's been recorded, and it will show you how to do it.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Perfect stuff. Okay, cool. Well, the links are all coming through slowly. Again, if you've all connected to me, then obviously feel free to drop me a message if you've got any questions that come up post this call. I'm fairly open. In fact, I'll respond to anything that comes through. So, yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you all. And yeah, I'll see you all hopefully on the newsfeed at some point.
Thanks very much, Chris.
Really
cool.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Chris. Really helpful.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Good job.
Bye-bye.